Welcome to our new series, The 200 Movie Challenge. Our goal this year is to watch 200 movies that we haven't seen yet. If you want to listen to the full podcast where this clip is from, the link will be in the description. Now enjoy today's movie.
All right, let me move on. Let me get to my second movie. I don't know where this is going to rank yet, but I'm not going to start with that like the last one, just because we'll see how this goes. I saw I think this one was on Netflix, and I saw the movie Time Cut, 2024. And I like a lot of time traveling premises, so I was like, all right,
Yes.
let me check this out. And I think I texted you this one. This one has a bit of teenage angst too, which kind of surprised me. So anyway, let me just kind of get to the start of this. It does start off, and it takes place. The beginning part takes place in 2003, and a few people have already died from this serial killer. There's this big party, and they said, "Listen, we need to, cherish their memories." This one girl's like, "My friends have died," and her boyfriend's like, "Come on, just stay here." And this girl, Summer, she's trying to get away. She's trying to leave the party, and she ended up being murdered. So basically, you find out that there's been 3 nights of murders. This girl, Summer, was the last one. Flash jump 21 years later to 2024. The main girl is Lucy, her sister. Her parents basically had Lucy because Summer passed away, but that will tell you her relationship with their parents. It's not a happy, they're just there. She's just there. She does not feel like they love her, blah, blah, blah. And she, typical high school, you know what I'm talking about. They're just like, my parents. And she's smart. She actually got into like a NASA intern program. So she's basically about to move on to college, move out of, the town, this and that. It's the 21st anniversary of her sister's death. They go to the site where she died. There's like a memorial. And the parents are like, Lucy, did you bring anything for your sister? And this girl's never met her sister, obviously. And she goes to the car and it's like, oh, I left it there. She hears something in the barn because there's a barn next to it. And she finds this machine. And basically, it transports her back to 2003. Now, there's more of that machine that's going to come up later. I'm not going to really talk about it because it's spoiled. She finds out like, yeah, oh my God, I'm back in the past. And she's trying to figure out now how to go back in the future. Now, she goes to her high school because she wants to talk to her physics teacher. She doesn't know how. She's like, do people believe in time travel? How do we go back? And she meets her sister. And, someone that she's basically kind of hated, her whole life for no reason, outside the fact that, her parents never thought she lived up to her. And they kind of, she realizes, hey, this person's not that bad. She's very nice. And so now she knows that these murders are coming up in the next 3 days. And now the question is, because her friend's like, because you think back to the future, you can't stop them. That could change the future. She's like, yeah, but they're going to die. I have to do something. But it could, the whole time travel thing. And then the real, so obviously she tells her sister who she is. She's like, I'm from the future. And her sister realizes it because she knows things that she's not supposed to know. But then comes the question, does Lucy save her sister? Because the whole reason she exists is because Summer died. So does she, now that she's had feelings, now that she's kind of like, like, oh, this is my sister. She is a good person because now you can see the bond. She's like, can I let this happen? And that was a nice little twist, to it all. So, because basically the one thing I will say is like the first night, the two of her sister's friends are the ones that got murdered. And then at the last second, Lucy's like, I have to do something. And she goes to stop it. The kids get murdered anyways, but this time a security guard, because Lucy brought the security guard, gets murdered as well. And Lucy's like, I made this guy die. He was never supposed to die. And that's how they're fine. Someone's like, wait, what do you mean? There's more murders, So then she's just realizing, do I tell my sister she's the final one? So yeah, there's a lot of good, interesting plot points to it. I mean, again, it's time travel. They do set their own rules. They stick to it. So I'm like, all right, I'm fine with it. I mean, it is absurd. But you know what? If you think about any time travel movie, it's absurd no matter what. You just sit back.
I mean, of course, inherently absurd. Of course.
But yeah, no, it was a fun little flick. I did like it. And yes, though, there is a lot of teenage angst, you know, because, you know, this person loves this person, but she doesn't love him. And it is funny, her going back to 2003 and just saying things like, oh, let me Google, like she has a because her smartphone came with her, obviously doesn't work. And but, you know, to the point where it can't connect to the internet, but it has like all these apps and, you know, she's like, well, can we just look this up on Google? You know, so it's funny just to think that back in 2003, what didn't exist or what was different then. I know we're older and we can go back to like the 90s, but you know what I mean? It's just like 20 years ago. Like, oh my God, a lot of things were just more recent.
Like Google wasn't around back then? Jesus, it feels like fucking like, wow.
And she's like, you know, and because she accidentally makes comments, you know, even like about Facebook and social media. She's like, oh, because they're like, well, how? So all that was kind of funny. This is more of a, like, I don't know if it's PG-13 or technically R, but to me, this is like, you know, this is definitely one of those like sleep overnight murder, you know, horror movies. Nothing that's too gruesome, not, you know, so, you know, people get scared. We would watch this in high school, but as adults, we're like, yeah, it's kind of on the cheesy point. But it did keep my interest to the end. The time travel stuff was, you know, like I said, it was definitely a different plot point to what it was, a horror movie. This kind of horror movie, I should say. So, yeah, no, I mean, it had a 3-act structure. It ended. I was fine with the ending because I was worried. I'm like, oh, fuck, you know, like, again, because I've said this about countless films, like, how do you end this? Because sometimes there's movies you watch, you're like, there's no way you can end this properly. Because no matter what, you know, you're like, if you do this, it's dumb. If you do this, well, whatever. But I was fine. I was happy. There's no loose ends. Everything's great. Everything ties up with a nice little bow. So yeah, you know what? If you want a fun little horror movie with some teenage angst, which I know Soda, I'd rather have you see this movie than Slaw. But I know that's gonna happen. So where do I rank this?
I have to watch Slaw now.
Where do I put the
Future me has no idea. Future, that's only a couple days away. A couple days away, I will be a different person because I will have watched Slaw.
I think, and this middle section I've said might change, but I'm kind of feeling this. I think I'm going to put this as my new 22, right above the menu. Feels right
up the menu.
Right above it.
I mean, you know, from what you said from the plot sounds interesting.
Yeah, no, and it was. And again, I was a little worried because I was like, yeah, again, because I always worry if they're going to stick the ending. I'm like, I'm okay, just give me a good reason. You know, obviously it's time travel. Like, I'll believe it. And I will be honest, with lack of better, I did not guess the ending, you know, because the other thing is you don't know who the killer is. You know, you feel like there's a reason. So you see the whole thing comes together. You're like, oh shit, that makes sense. You know, but you don't see it. So I was like, oh damn. So I think I like that as well. But, you know, I mean, it didn't, outside of that, yeah, there wasn't too much to it. You know, some happy, you know, sister scenes as you're giving her a makeover and dressing up and stuff like that. But yeah, that's why it's hilarious. It was going back to like the 2000s. I'm like, man, was it really that long ago? Is that how we lived 21 years ago?
Feels like so that way, but I guess it was, right? Like shit. Like, you know, people are like, oh yeah, 2017. I'm like, oh yeah, that was the other day. No, it wasn't.
No, that was 8 years ago.
Yep. 2007 was a fucking long time ago.
I think it's 2017. I'm sorry.
Oh, I did. Yeah, 2017 was a fucking long time ago. Like that's crazy. Like even 2018 was. So I'm like, oh my god. Like it's like in 2017. I'm pretty sure I was smoking cigarettes. That's how long ago that was. But in my mind, I'm like, no, that was the other day.
Yeah, I quit smoking 2018. I think. Yep, that's when I quit. Right before Philly. Yeah. So yep. Mm-hmm. 7 years. But anyhow, enough about what we were doing 7-8 years ago.